जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी, गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी, यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन, यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन, यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन, यमुना तीरावनचारि, यमुना तीरावनचारि, राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, जय निताय सच्चिनंदन, निताय सच्चिनंदन, निताय सच्चिनंदन गौर हरि, जय निताय सच्चिनंदन, निताय सच्चिनंदन, निताय सच्चिनंदन गौर हरि, जय सीताराम लक्ष्मण भक्त हनुमान, सीताराम लक्ष्मण भक्त हनुमान, प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद, जय जय प्रभुपाद, जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद, जय जय प्रभुपाद, जय जय गुरुदेव गुरुदेव गुरुदेव, जय जय गुरुदेव। Jai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. So Hare Krishna everyone. Thank you for joining the discussion on this Sunday feast. First of all, I wish you all a happy Dasra, even though we are going through these difficult situations. I would like to discuss the verse from Bhagavad Gita 5.22. I'll just put that on the screen. So first I would like to do the Mangalacharan prayers before we start. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam परिजन सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगल्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। Hare Krishna. So we'll chant the verse 3 times and then devotees can chant. 5.22 of Bhagavad Gita. Ye hi samsparshaja bhoga dukkhayo naya evate adyantavantah kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. Ye hi samsparshaja bhoga dukkhayo naya evate adyantavantah kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःखयो नय एवते आद्यन्तवन्तः कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधा. Someone would like to chant.
ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःखयोनाय एव ते आदि अन्तावन्त कौन्तेया न तेषु रमते बुधः. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Anybody else would like to chant?
ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःखयन एव ते अन्तं वतन्त कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधा.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, please.
ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःखयोनय एव ते आद्यन्तवन्त कान्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधा.
Thank you, Mataji. So I will read the synonyms. Ye, those, he, certainly, samsparshaja, by contact with the material senses, bhoga, enjoyments, dukkha, distress, yonaya, sources of, eva, certainly, they are, adi, beginning, anta, end, vanta, subject to, kaunteya, O son of Kunti, na, never, teshu, in those, ramate, takes delight, buddha, the intelligent person. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: an intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery, which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. Purport: material sense pleasures are due to the contact of the material senses, which are all temporary because the body itself is temporary. A liberated soul is not interested in anything which is temporary. Knowing well the joys of transcendental pleasures, how can a liberated soul agree to enjoy false pleasure? In the Padma Purana, it is said, Ramante yogino nante satyanande chidatmani iti ramapadena sau param brahma bhidhiyate. The mystics derive unlimited transcendental pleasures from the absolute truth, and therefore the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, is also known as Rama. In the Srimad Bhagavatam also 5.51 it is said, Nayam deho deha bhajam nriloke kashtan kaman arhate vidbhudam te tapo divyam putrakaye na sattvam shuddhed yasmat brahma saukhyam tvanantam. My dear sons, there is no reason to labor very hard for sense pleasure while in this human form of life. Such pleasures are available to the stool eaters, hogs. Rather, you should undergo penances in this life by which your existence will be purified, and as a result, you will be able to enjoy unlimited transcendental bliss. Therefore, those who are true yogis or learned transcendentalists are not attracted by sense pleasures, which are the causes of continuous material existence. The more one is addicted to material pleasures, the more he is entrapped by material miseries. So, this verse is so important for all of us, especially while we are practicing the bhakti process. It is very important to know that we are not getting deviated, because this material world is full of distractions. And knowing that the material world is going to give us miseries or sufferings, we can try to come out of that. If we are not aware of that, most probably most of us who before coming to Krishna consciousness, maybe our awareness were a little bit less, at least, than how much we are aware of those miseries in the material world. So if you know that this is going to be troublesome, an intelligent person will not go for it, right? So Prabhu, can I share something? Yeah, thank you. So there are many scriptural references other than Bhagavad Gita, also even in Bhagavatam and even in Puranas, these are described. So one of the famous verse in Bhagavad Gita, I will share so you can read that. 6.5, which is chapter 6, verse 5, this famous verse, Uddharayat Atmanatmanam. I'll just read the translation. One must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. So this is very important, because mind decides, at least for a conditioned soul, the mind decides whether to go this direction or that direction, or we have several choices. So mind is guiding us when we are not connected to Krishna. Mind guides us to take this choice or that choice, and then we might go through different levels of struggles. So this as given here, the mind can help us to degrade ourselves, or mind is a friend also in a positive way. That means mind can direct us towards Krishna also. So mind could be friend or enemy, but it depends on how we are training our mind. And then we have several examples usually being spoken in this context, where one of the factors given in this verse, today's verse 5.22, is of course intelligent person does not take part in the source of misery because it is in touch with the material senses, or the misery is due to we are contacting the sense objects using our material senses and trying to enjoy, thinking that this will give me pleasure. But the most important clue given here is such pleasures have a beginning and an end, which we experience that many times. Even though one is not a devotee, they very much experience this. We can take simple example like, someone likes pizza. Most of us like pizza. And if we are really hungry, the first slice of pizza will give us much more pleasure. Even before we eat the pizza, we are going through that pleasure. And then after the first slice, probably we would like to go for next one also with that kind of same level of pleasure. And then at some point, maybe third or fourth, we will realize that, I'm no longer interested in this pizza. I'm not going to enjoy, or I'm not going to experience any pleasure by eating more pizza. In fact, we are going to get more trouble if we try to eat more. That's what we experience. Any non-devotee also experience this. And any other, you know, palatable food stuff are very good example. And then people, you know, many people are very much attached to watching movies. So I had a friend in my college time. He was very fond of movies. So he will go for a movie in the afternoon, and then he will come out of that theater and go to another one in another half an hour, and then he will go for another one in the midnight. No, he was kind of crazy for movies. But they know that at the end of all these things, maybe another couple of hours they might enjoy. They might, mostly not, because you get a headache, etc. But after that, it's all suffering. So we are very familiar with this scenario where the pleasures have a beginning and an end. Any material thing, anything, whatever, you get a new job or buy something new, everything will have an end. It is very obvious, but still somehow or other, due to our conditioned nature, we want to go for it again and again and again. But the intelligent person, as described in this verse, will not go for it, because they know that even if it gives some pleasure in the beginning, it will become a bottle, it will become an obstacle towards the path to achieve the ultimate pleasure. And also I heard another story, I mean real incident happened recently. An Indian couple, newly married couple, they are in the wife came to United States to join the husband, and they wanted to go for a whatever sightseeing or so. They went to a what is this flowing river, near a river, and they were enjoying and they wanted to take a picture. So no one was around, so they went for the selfie, which is very famous these days. So they were standing very close to the river, and the river is kind of heavily flowing water, not so calm. So while they were taking the selfie, they forgot about themselves, where they are standing, and then they were moving a little bit towards the river side, and both of them fell down into the river. And then I don't know, maybe they did not know swimming or not, but somehow they were pulled by the river, the stream of the river, and then somehow they were trying to cry, it seems. So some people came, they tried to, because by that time they were way away from the shore. So they had to wait for some more time to get some stuff to save them. But somehow they could save the husband only, but the wife, they couldn't see her for some time. But again, they continued their search, and finally they could figure it out. But by that time she was gone. She was dead. So, they were trying to enjoy this, material pleasure beyond the boundary, I guess, or without using the intelligence that, this. And I have heard these similar incidents multiple times also. So it's not like first time somebody is hearing. So the reason is mind is pulling us towards this, Maya in some sense. So as devotees now, we know that the soul, we are spirit souls, we are sitting close to the super soul. But most of the time, the conditioned souls, or maybe all the time, they are away from the super soul. They don't even realize that we are sitting close to the super soul, Krishna. So the connection goes to the sense objects from the mind. Mind is going to the gross senses. Senses are connected to the sense objects surrounding us, and Maya will pull us through the channel of different sense objects. So when Maya pulls us, as we know from the Bhagavad Gita famous verse, Devi Hiya Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya, too strong. So when she pulls us through the sense objects, the senses gets attracted to the sense objects, and then it is connected to the mind. So mind will go for it. Oh, I need to get that. And then intelligence is controlled by the mind now, and mind is controlled by the senses. Senses are controlled by the objects, and that is controlled by Maya. And the soul will get into this illusion, because the intelligence is lost, because it's under the control of mind. Mind is under the control of senses and sense objects. But as soon as the soul connects back to the super soul by some medium, either chanting or hearing the Krishna Katha or different mechanisms, then super soul takes in charge. And if super soul pulls a little bit, Maya cannot even survive. Of course, Maya will not be there when the super soul is going to take in charge. Then Maya Devi will leave us. She will not even try to pull us. Then it's easy. We are not controlled anymore by the senses, and the mind is now, the soul is controlled by super soul. So the soul can control the intelligence. Intelligence controls the mind, and mind will not go into the temporary pleasure. But if we are not connected, the case is the reverse. So that's why the mind could be the friend or enemy as well. And in the purport of this particular verse, 6.5, there is a mention about Amrita Bindu Upanishads. There is a nice verse there, and the translation I will read. For man, mind is the cause of bondage and mind is the cause of liberation. Mind absorbed in sense objects is the cause of bondage, and mind detached from the sense objects is the cause of liberation. Therefore, the mind which is always engaged in Krishna consciousness is the cause of supreme liberation. Of course, the last line is Prabhupada's purport, not in the Upanishads, but the same principle is described in the Upanishads. So Srila Prabhupada mentions this many times, Goswami versus Godas. We usually, the conditioned souls are Godas, the servant of the senses. Go means senses, another meaning. But we should become a Goswami. That means we should control the mind. Controlling the mind is different than controlled by the mind. So we have many instructions given by Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita, how to achieve the ultimate pleasure. One of the famous verses, 5.29, Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarvalokam Maheshwaram Suhridam Sarvabhutanam Gyatva Mam Shanti Mrachati. So whoever knows Krishna as the ultimate benefactor of all sacrifices and austerities, and the controller of all the living entities, demigods, the friend of all living entities. So that kind of person will achieve ultimate peace. Because without peace, there is no happiness. Krishna speaks that also later at another place. So Bhagavad Gita gives all these instructions, but even the devotees, at least the sadhaka devotees like me, practicing devotees, we know that, yes, if I look for material pleasure, I will end up in some misery at different levels, depending on how far I am going for the material pleasure. So there is an interesting verse in Uddhava Gita section in Bhagavatam. It is 11:20, Canto 11, chapter 20, verse 27, 28, and 29. It's very interesting in this context. Actually, Krishna is speaking to Uddhava, a similar principle. I just read the translation. Having awakened faith in the narrations of my glories, being disgusted with all material activities. So when we read this, we can try to think about ourselves, because this is all about us only. Having awakened faith in the narrations of my glories, being disgusted with all material activities, knowing that all sense gratification leads to misery, but still being unable to renounce all sense enjoyment, my devotee should remain happy and worship me with great faith and conviction. Even though he is sometimes engaged in sense enjoyment, my devotee knows that all sense gratification leads to a miserable result, and he sincerely repents such activities. So of course, I can connect this to myself, even though he is sometimes engaged in sense enjoyment. Now I don't know, the sometime is most of the time or not, depends. At least at subtle level, we have all these different thoughts going on and things like that. At a gross level, mostly we try to limit our sense enjoyment, but at subtle level, things are a little different, the intensity. But Krishna is giving a great hope for all of us, even though we are going through that, engaged in sense enjoyment. If we are able to identify that, yes, I'm trying to enjoy the material sense objects and then repents, then we have a greater hope that we will be more connected to Krishna. In the next verse in that section, Krishna speaks to Dhava. When an intelligent person engages constantly in worshipping me through loving devotional service as described by me, it's very important, loving devotional service as described by me, by Krishna, his heart becomes firmly situated in me. Thus, all material desires within the heart are destroyed. So, Krishna is giving the ultimate solution for getting rid of all these material desires. Just, constantly worship Krishna by loving devotional service as described by Krishna and the representatives of Krishna, of course. That is very important also. Now, today's Dasara, so I was thinking I can try to learn some things from the Ramayana pastimes, and would like to share that with all of you also. So the meaning of Dasara is Dasahara. Dasa means 10 and Hara means annihilating or annihilator, etc. So 10-headed Ravana was destroyed by Lord Ram. Now the theme of Ramayana, of course there are many lessons, so different angles we can see. But one of the main theme of Ramayana is if one is too attached to materialistic activities or material stuff or material relations or relations based on material body, he or she has to suffer. So even Lord Ram, he is the Supreme Lord. He is not attached to any material stuff. Bhagavad Gita also Krishna tells that I'm not controlled by material modes of nature. But Lord Ram is teaching us a lesson by having these pastimes. So we can see that their separation, Ram's separation from Sita is it has a meaning at transcendental level, but it also has a meaning at a material level when Sita Devi got bewildered when she saw the golden deer, Maricha. So she was, it is described by some acharyas that she was, playing a role of a conditioned soul. So a conditioned soul doesn't have spiritual intelligence, or even if they have some intelligence, depending on different situations, due to the material entanglement, they lose that intelligence. So in this case, Sita Devi thought that, this golden deer is so cute. Even after Lakshman tells, this is a cheating, it's not a deer, but she was behind that. She wanted to get that deer and told her husband, Lord Ram, please get me that deer. If you cannot get the deer alive, it's fine. You can kill and get the deer. We can use the skin, golden skin, and we can sit on that and enjoy even after going back to Ayodhya. So please get me that deer. So the Lord Ram was not ready also in the beginning, but she was pushing him. And Ram also was playing a role of a materialistic husband. The wife really wants that, even if it is not so suitable or favorable, because my wife is asking, I'm attached to my wife, I should get it. That kind of role he's playing, even though they have a different meaning, transcendental meaning and reason why he goes for that. And later Lakshman was taking care of Sita Devi, but she wanted Lakshman to go because Maricha did a trick of calling Sita and Lakshman in the voice of Lord Ram. So Lakshman knew that this is a trick, but Sita was insisting Lakshman like anything. At some point, Sita spoke very, very difficult words to hear to Lakshman. So Lakshman kind of leaves. So Sita was behind this material object. That was her mood, at least in the pastime sense. So we know that the outcome of that, even though Lord Ram was not killed by Maricha, it was a trick. But Sita got kidnapped by Ravan in a sannyasi form. Ravan came and kidnapped Sita. So she had to go through different material suffering. And then Ram had to go through different suffering at a material point of view because Sita was away. And then there are other characters also went through these sufferings, different sufferings. But today's verse is very much in connection with Ravan. He's the greatest of the demon. He is a personified form of all the bad qualities like lust, anger, greed, envy, madness, illusion, etc. He was simply behind all these, he was behind the sources of misery, but thinking that he can enjoy. So that's why he even kidnapped Mother Sita, who is the beloved wife of the Lord, personality of Godhead, and she is to be enjoyed by Lord Ram, again in a transcendental way, not a materialistic enjoyment. But even after getting instructions from different people, Ravan went for it and he kidnapped Sita. That was his biggest mistake. And other than that, he was trying to enjoy all the material objects. He wanted to make a ladder directly to the heavenly planet and then send people without having any qualification. And he was so confident that I can do that. And he went through a lot of austerities to get several boons so that he can enjoy the material objects. That was his mood. And then we know that finally he got defeated by Lord Ram, and that was his. And not only he, but whole kingdom, his relatives and everyone got, they were destroyed by Lord Ram. But his brother Vibhishan, he did not choose that path. Even though he was surrounded by all these demons, he was guided by Ravan also in some sense, or facilitated by Ravan to enjoy all these materialistic pleasures. Vibhishan had intelligence, spiritual intelligence. He was a devotee right from beginning, even from birth. So he wanted to go to Lord Ram, and then he instructed Ravan and told him, this is what going to happen. If you continue to do this, please return Mother Sita to Lord Ram. Otherwise you will be destroyed, your whole kingdom will be destroyed. But Ravan was angry. He wanted to even kill Vibhishan in that angry mood to that extent. But then Vibhishan left with some other ministers and he surrendered to Lord Ram. So he chose the right path. And we can also see Hanuman. So when Mother Sita was living like a prisoner in Lanka, surrounded by this the Ravan's servants. So Hanuman is in search of Mother Sita, and finally he could find Sita Devi, and then he glorifies Lord Ram in front of Sita Devi. So the Acharyas describes that the conditioned soul, Sita Devi, was acting as a conditioned soul. She wanted to go with the golden deer, and then that gave her this greatest misery. Ravan kidnapped her, and now she is suffering from the separation of her husband. But just by hearing the glories of Lord Ram from Hanuman, Sita Devi, of course, she was always thinking about Lord Ram. But the lesson here is Sita regained her consciousness, and then she was able to go back to her master, Lord Ram. Even she could have gone immediately. Hanuman was ready to take her to Lord Ram. But then Mother Sita told that, of course, I can come now, but I don't want to do that way. I would like my husband to come here and then destroy this demon Ravan and then take me. And that will glorify my husband's fame. So she wanted Lord Ram to be glorified. That was her victory. And then also she also could have destroyed Lord Ram due to her chastity. She could have, in a moment she could have destroyed demon Ravan. She told that to Ravan. But then she told Ravan that, no, I want my husband to come and take me back because I'm confident that he can do that. So we have such lessons from Ramayana which we can take into our own life in whichever way we can. and then reduce our materialistic attachments and increase attachment to the Lord Krishna, and then become eternally happy. So that is the lesson of Ramayana. So in the Ramayana, the war between Ram and Ravan, or the whole armies, so Ravan was the personification of lusty desire and all envy and anger, etc. So he knew that, or he thought that he has got all powers. So he did all these austerities and got different boons. He got a boon from Lord Brahma also, that nobody can kill him, or no weapon will be in effect, or he had all these 10 heads and 20 arms, etc. Even one of the boon was, even if he loses his heads, he will get a new head in place of the older one. So that way, if someone tries to cut his head, he will not die. So he went into such extremes to make sure that he will win. And it's described that this was given in a lecture by Radhanath Swami, I think. At least I read that. Ravan had this celestial nectar in his heart, and that is saving him from death. People cannot kill him because that is there in his heart. So when the war was going on, so Lord Ram is along with Lakshmana and other monkey warriors. The war is going on back and forth, and so much is happening. Finally, Ram wants to kill Ravan, and then he starts by taking off his heads one by one with his arrows. So we can realize that how powerful is Lord Ram. And then Demon Ravan is not much worried, because he's losing one head, and then very similar head will come back, and then Ram will cut another head will come back. And then it's described that hundreds of Ravan's heads were lying around. Still new heads are coming up. So Ravan was not worried, because I'm confident that I won't be defeated. So at that time, of course, Lord Ram is omniscient. He knew everything, but he was playing the role of a king. So Vibhishan came to Lord Ram and told that, if you continue like this, Ravan is not going to be dead, because he got this boon from Lord Brahma, etc. So the only way you can destroy Lord Ram, demon Ravan, is he has this nectar in his heart. So pierce an arrow through his heart, so that this nectar will be dried up. Then he will be destroyed. That's the only way. Then Lord Ram will take this final arrow, and then very carefully pierce that arrow into the heart of the Ravan. So that time it was described that there were a lot of effulgence coming out of this arrow, and then everyone got stuck. Everyone stopped whatever they were doing, and finally the arrow pierced through Ravan's heart, and then Ravan is dead now. So, and then of course Mother Sita is back to Lord Ram, and the pastimes continue like that. They all went back to Ayodhya. So this day, Dasara is celebrated for that. This is the victory of Lord Ram over the demon Ravan. Now, in Kali Yuga, we know that most of the people in Kali Yuga are at least mini Ravans, not as powerful as the original Ravan, but we can look into our hearts and we can see that I have some level of envy, some greed, some lust, whatever, some illusion, etc. So how do we destroy our mini Ravans sitting in our hearts? So the acharyas and our spiritual masters are giving us this nice instruction, of course, which is given by Lord Chaitanya himself. He descended, Krishna descended as Lord Chaitanya in this age of Kali, knowing that people are not so pious, and they all have all these contaminations in their heart, and the only way to destroy that is through the chanting of the holy name. So in Treta Yuga, Lord Ram used this arrow to pierce through the Ravan's heart and destroy Ravan. But now Lord is very kind. Lord is not doing that method, but he's giving us the holy name and then instructing us to chant the holy name attentively from our heart. That way, this arrow of the holy name can pierce through our heart and then destroy all these bad qualities, the Ravan sitting in our heart. The only condition is we have to chant with an attentive mind without getting distracted. With in a humble mood, we have to chant, begging for the mercy from Guru and Krishna, and chant nicely. That way we can gradually reduce our material desires while increasing our attachment to Krishna or Lord Ram, whichever form of Lord we would like to worship, and then become eternally happy. And now this method is the perfect way to become happy. But in the today's verse, we see that the other pleasures, the materialistic pleasures, have a beginning and an end. But this eternal happiness, by connecting back to the Lord, our Master, eternal Master Krishna, doesn't have a beginning and end. It is eternally there. It will not get destroyed. The feeling of happiness will be ever increasing. As we chant the holy name of the Lord, it will not get reduced. We can see many devotees, pure devotees like Haridas Thakur. They used to chant almost whole day, every day. Even Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj did that for 9 years, chanting whole day without sleep, without food, etc., or minimal food. How can they do that? Because it gives eternal pleasure, never-ending pleasure, the chanting of the holy name. So we can all try on this particular day, especially since Lord Ram is giving us inspiration by showing his wonderful pastime. And Lord Chaitanya in this age of Kali, even Lord Chaitanya showed this Shadbhuja form to King Prataparudra and also to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. It is a wonderful form with 6 arms, 2 arms of Krishna playing a flute and 2 arms of Lord Ram with bow and arrow. It's very interesting. And the 2 arms, the sannyas form of Mahaprabhu with Kamandalu and the Danda. So he is showing that he is Krishna himself, he is Lord Ram himself. But in this age of Kali, we have been given a very wonderful opportunity to just chant the holy name of Krishna and cleanse our heart, as described in the Shikshashtakam verse 1, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. It is like a mirror. Our heart is like a mirror, and mirror is full of dust. That's why we are not able to see ourselves. Who am I? The self-realization is not happening. But by chanting the holy names of Krishna, the heart will be cleansed by the mercy of Krishna. And then the rest of the mystical things will happen as described in that verse, Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. So cessation of all material miseries. Bhava Mahadavagni. The material world is full of miseries. Davagni, it's like a big forest fire. So which will be gone just by chanting the holy name. But that is only the beginning. But after that, Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam, it's done. Material miseries are gone. Then what happens? Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam. The coolness of the full moon will be there in our heart. We feel that. Then Vidya Vadhu Jivanam. We feel the knowledge, the absolute truth will be revealed to us. It's described that the life of the ultimate knowledge is the holy name, Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. So so getting knowledge is not the ultimate aim, but getting the knowledge is to achieve the ultimate aim of glorifying Krishna. Then Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. So the ever increasing bliss will happen. Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipadam Purnamrita Aswadanam. So that full nectar is, we are able to enjoy that real true nectar, not the nectar which was in Ravan's heart. That was just for enjoying the materialistic so-called pleasures, which gives us misery only, but not this, not that kind. This is the true nectar of the taste of the holy name. Purna Amrita Swadanam. Then Sarvalpmasnapanam, we will be bathing in that bliss, the whole, body, mind, and words, whatever, everything will be immersed in the pleasure of chanting of the holy name. And that is the glorification of Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Purnamrita Sarvalpmasnapanam Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. So all glories to the holy name of Sri Krishna. And then Shikshashtakam goes from, that is the starting of the Shikshashtakam, then it goes to the next verse where it describes our current condition of not having a taste. And then Mahaprabhu gives us the most important instruction, how to chant the holy name in a humble mood, like a tolerant like a tree, and humble like a grass, and without expecting the respect, but still, give respect to everyone, amanina amanadena, and then always try to chant the holy name in that mood. So, and then, higher and higher, it goes to deeper and deeper meanings, and I don't have interest in anything else, nadhanam, najanam, nasundarim, etc. And I just would like to be at the lotus feet of Krishna, and birth after birth give me the taste of, connecting to Krishna. And, and then it goes beyond at least my realization. So that is the beauty of the holy name. So on this day, I would like to, meditate on these aspects of the importance of holy name, and how fortunate we are due to the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, who took the instruction of Lord Chaitanya coming through the disciplic succession, and then made that in a very doable form to us, because his spiritual master was instructing to chant 64 rounds every day, Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj. So Srila Prabhupada initially mentioned that, but devotees couldn't do that though. So he reduced it to 32, but devotees were still kind of having some difficulty. So he made this available to us to make it 16 rounds, minimum 16 rounds at least. And then other than that, everything else is, as good as everyone else is doing, partying, feasting and dancing, that everyone else does in this world. So the process is so simple for us. Prabhupada told it's very simple for simple-minded, but very difficult for crooked-minded. I mean, crooked-minded means someone who is like Ravan, even after knowing all this glorification and truth. Ravan knew the whole Vedic knowledge. He had full Vedic knowledge. He's a son of Brahmana. So he had all this opportunity. He was given the training, but due to his bad heart and bad association, he chose the wrong path. But for us, the simple process is given. So if we simply take it and apply that into our life within our capacity on a gradual basis, we can also achieve and the pleasure, the eternal pleasure, which is experienced by the Vrajavasis, the topmost devotees of Lord Krishna, by going through a simple process. So the simple process gives us the maximum benefit. That is the beauty of the Kali Yuga, given by the process given by Lord Chaitanya through Srila Prabhupada. He made that very, very simple for all of us. So I would like to stop here and look for some reflections from devotees on this topic. Or any corrections or additions or your own realizations.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for
Jai
your
Shri Prabhupada.
beautiful, wonderful lecture, as always, Prabhuji. So when you were mentioning about the nectar in Shashtakam verse as well, and that nectar is not as same as the nectar in the heart of Ravana.
Right.
I remembered a past time, but how valuable this nama the glories, especially Srimad Bhagavatam is. And so there's a pastime mentioned, I think it's in Padma Puran, if I'm not wrong, but when Shukadeva Goswami was reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, about to recite Srimad Bhagavatam, Indra came from the heavens, desiring to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So he came to Shukadeva Goswami and said, "Oh, Shukadeva Goswami, you are going to recite the Bhagavatam for Parshit Maharaj. He's about to die in 7 days. That's why, right? Don't worry. You give this nectar. I have pot of nectar, Swarga, right? You give it to Parshit Maharaj. He will get saved. He will not die in 7 days at least, right? Instead, you give me Srimad Bhagavatam." And just hearing that, Shukadeva Goswami just got really angry and said, "How dare you compare your mortal, this Amrita, which is immaterial world, compared to Srimad Bhagavatam? How dare you?" And he told, throw Indra out of this assembly. He does not, just by saying that, he has disqualified himself from hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So the comparison of the mortal nectar, we say Amrita, oh, they are Amara. That Amrita, when compared to Srimad Bhagavatam, is because, I mean, at least for me, I can't relish that Srimad Bhagavatam, which is so Amrita, Pipita Bhagavata. That's how sweet it is. So I just remember that particular verse. The glories of Nama, the name of Krishna or Lord Rama, how is so beautiful, so taste. I mean, so relish. We can relish it, but we can't. So maybe we should take more effort in actually trying to relish that, the name of the holy name. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you for that wonderful pastime in connection with this. Yes, it's very, very true. Yeah. Any other reflections?
I like that, Hare Krishna Prabhu,
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
for lecturing. I hope all is well with you and family.
Yes, Prabhu. By mercy of Krishna and Guru.
Wonderful. Yeah, I thought that was very nice too, how you tied it in with pastimes or the lessons from Sita Devi, Lakshman, and Lord Ram, and how Lakshman, almost in a sense, acts like a guru, instructing her to not engage in this aspect of desiring the deer, etc., going after the deer, but in the Leela she neglects it, and like you said, spoke some hard things, and so she went through that seeming difficulty. So that was very nice. I also liked how you brought in the Gita, the 11, 20, 27. That's a pretty famous verse about how if one just continues the process of Krishna consciousness, Lord will take personal efforts to help out in our struggles. I like that word nischaya, that verse of conviction. I was listening to a nice lecture by Chaitanya Prabhu about how there's determination and then there's conviction. Determination is kind of like an external effort, but he was explaining that determination is an effort, but we have a conviction that this process is truly a genuine process and a worthwhile process, and determination by itself won't be sufficient. We need that conviction, which, like you mentioned, you get through sadhu and shastra. So I thought that was very nice as well. Another nice thing I heard it Chaitanya Prabhuji say is that we're seeking happiness, but we are getting unhappiness. That's kind of the unfortunately the moral of some of these pleasures. So thank you very much for speaking on this important verse.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that reflection.
Would others like to speak more? This is pretty uncommon. We have, like, Prabhuji spoke a lot of important things, but we have actually 4 minutes more that we can share. So I don't hear anything. So just make announcements. Today, please come to temple from 1 to 2:30 and have darshan of the Lord. And then Tuesday is Ekadashi for our site. I don't know, Prabhu, you're in Washington, D.C. It's probably a different day.
Yeah, we have tomorrow,
Oh,
Monday. Yeah.
Krishna. Give us the mercy so we can tolerate Ekadashi, which is the day of the Lord, but sometimes it's a day of tolerance for a lot of devotees. And that day, Tuesday, also happens to be an amazing day because disappearance of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, Raghunath Bhatt Goswami, Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, all in that one day, which is Tuesday for us. So please partake of that. Let's see. We won't have any lectures by Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji today because he finished his 9-part seminar. If anybody wants to help give donation for his nice effort, just send me an email and we can share how to connect, give contribution. Okay. So anything else? Remember then, Prabhu, your teaching career is going okay?
Yeah, it's going fine as of now. Yeah.
And Kalyani and Mataji are doing as well.
Yeah, they're doing fine.
Please convey our obeisances to your wonderful family.
Okay, thank you. And same to you and family and other devotees too. And
hope you stay
it's
safe
okay.
and healthy there. Okay. Okay, so I think
Thank you. So Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Srinithay Satchidanandan Dev ki jai.
Prema
Hare
Vardhana
Krishna.
Prabhu ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
So today, Arati Kirtan is by Subhu, and Nrsingadev prayers are by William. So Subhu, are you ready to start? I think I saw Manasi Ganga Mataji was logged on.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
I think you can go ahead and start your kirtan.
Okay.
And at 11:50, go ahead.
Okay. 12:50.
Yes, sorry. Forgive me.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavani Vashaka Dosatari Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasagi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare
Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Subbu. Thank you so much. Thank you, Suki, and thank you, Shivani, for the wonderful kirtan. Thank you so much. It was really beautiful. Thank you so much. Okay. We have William. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Glad to have you back.
Yeah, thank you.
We can maybe start Nasimharti, and maybe we can wait for a second. Let's see if Pujari came.
Just let me know when. No problem.
Maybe we can start. It's okay. You can start. Sure.
Okay. Namaste Naidaisen Haya Namaste Naidaisen Haya Dahla Hine Hiranyakasi Purvakshaha Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha Shilatankanakalaye O Shilatankanakalaye Ito Narasimha Parata Narasimha Ito Narasimha Parato Narasimha Yato Yato Yamitato Narasimha Yato Yato Yamitato Narasimha Mahir Narasimha Hidaye Narasimha Bahir Narasimha Hidaye Narasimha Narasimha Maidim Sharanam Prapadye O Narasimha Maidim Sharanam Prapadye Tava Kara Kamala Vare Nakam Adbhuta Shingam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Anubringham Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Tava Kara Kamala Vare Nakam Adbhuta Shinga Darita Hiranyakashipu Anubringham Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Narasimha Dev 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 Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Bhakta Prahlad, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Jaya Naira Hari, Jaya Naira Hari, Jaya Naira Hari, Jaya Naira Hari. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Srila Gurudev. Jai Shri Shri Lakshmi Narsimha Dev Bhagwan Ki Jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thank you, everyone.
Hare Krishna, Arvind, thank you so much for the beautiful Narasimha Stuti. Thank you. Great announcement. So please try to, if possible, please go to temple to see the to have a darshan of Shri Nitaya Sachindan and Srila Prabhupada. Are beautiful Shri Nitaya Sachindan. They look really beautiful today. Well, always. So thank you so much, Hare Krishna.